Hi, welcome to another episode of Typewriter Tuesday. I'm Alton Gansky, your host, author of novels and nonfiction books, but also a typewriter addict, I'll just admit it. Today I want to share with you an episode that I'm entitling The Case of the Whispering Typewriter. And I want to achieve two things today as we look at this particular typewriter, this innovative typewriter, this beautiful typewriter, this typewriter with unique engineering. I want to show you some of the beautiful things about this typewriter, but I also want to share with you some of the blunders I made when buying this typewriter. Now, it's all turned out to be well and good in the end, but maybe I can save you some heartache in the future by learning from my mistakes. Again, this is Alton Gansky, altongansky.com. Stay with us as we look at the case of the whispering typewriter.
It's Typewriter Tuesday. Let's journey into the past to see what writers of old used to use to ply their trade. What kind of mechanical beauty does Al have for us this week?
Well, here it is, a Remington Deluxe Noiseless typewriter from 1938. And it's a bit of a beauty. It's got some great lines to it. Kind of an exciting typewriter. Kind of reminds me of the muscle car of this size of typewriters. Got a little chrome going on as accent. Got everything right up front where it's easy to reach. I'm very appreciative of the fact that there's the serial number right there, which is easy to read. You can see the Remington Rand on the back, manufactured under the Noiseless patent. So we have the patents listed there. And it's just a good typewriter all the way around. Still dirty on the inside. I've done a little cleaning, but it needs a deep cleaning. And it has some problems. And it's going to be some of those problems I'm going to share with you because these were things I did not realize until after I bought the typewriter. And I'll tell you why that is, because I'm normally pretty cautious about things, but I let my emotions get away from me, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at the typewriter itself. As you can see, it's kind of styling. It has a matte finish all around here, matte finish. But some of the detail is in a smooth black, shiny relief, which makes the thing just pop. And these became very popular typewriters. You can see that it has on the keys, they're glass keys. It has the chrome rims around them. These sort of in reverse type. That is, it's a black background with the light lettering, which I find easier to read. And for the longest time in advertising, they used to do print ads that always had some kind of reverse type on it because they thought it would get more attention. As we're talking about the keyboard, point out a couple of things. You'll notice there's no 1. That's not unusual. No exclamation mark. But this typewriter has a key that I have never seen on any other typewriter. In fact, before doing this, I went and checked my other typewriters. And right here you see this key, the cent symbol, of course, very easy to make out. But you have this caret, C-A-R-E-T, I believe is the spelling on that. And this is often used in editing. Writers see this kind of thing all the time for insertions. So you have missed a letter, and you can, the editor will draw a little character like that and put the proper letter that should be in there, or if you skipped a word, something like that. I have never seen that before in another typewriter, and I didn't even realize it until I was doing a type sample. So if we look at the type sample, you can see that it lists this, or shows this character, this caret, below the line. And so I'm wondering if it's not for purposes of editing. None of my other Remingtons have it. So that's kind of a surprise to me. Love on the space bar, this little cup here, giving a little more design. Very subtle in all of this. And I also really enjoy this. It looks like a little stick shift. So for the color ribbon, we have the black, blue at the top, depending on what kind of ribbon you have. Black, the stencil, and then down for the red. And when you look at the typing display that I will show you at the end of this, you'll see that I did a lot of it in the red and then switched over to the black. Works very well. We know it's an American keyboard because you see on the 4 there, you see the dollar sign. That's one of the giveaways. And you don't see any other keys that have like umlauts and other such things on them. So very interesting keyboard. A couple of interesting keys to it. There are variations of this model, and on some there were keys up here, so the margin release would be up here, the backspace would be up here, and then later adjustments they would move down into the regular part of the keyboard. So lots of fun, great little detailing. Love the chrome on the ribbon covers. But one of the things I need to try and show you here if I can, you'll notice that I have a ribbon reel here, and of course it's a contemporary one, it's plastic. But on this, the way you're supposed to do it is beneath this ribbon cover is a round portion that you would tie the ribbon to. There's this little slot, and then you just wind the ribbon on. Very tedious and messy kind of thing to do. If you have a typewriter like that, if you pick one of those up, one of the things you can do is still buy these contemporary ones. I usually get mine through Amazon. And notice where this little pin comes up. Well, this portion in the middle you can knock out. It has a plug that you knock out, and it will fit perfectly over those. So that's what I did rather than wind them on the way it was meant to be. So we also have paper fingers up here. Paper fingers. Never been a big fan of those. They don't work as well as we might hope. I prefer a paper bail across the top. Some typewriters have both, sort of a belt and suspenders kind of thing going on there. But these work okay. And so while we're looking at this, I want you to notice this is a bad platen. See, it's kind of chewed up, marked up. That should have been a clue to me about something that I'll tell you about in a little bit. Good news is I had to fix something on this, so I got a donor. That is, I bought one of these earlier versions to get a part off of it. And it wasn't a very good typewriter, but it had the parts I needed. Excuse me. So there's this platen, which I'll put on later, and it's pretty clean. It's not brand new. And if this was going to be a daily typer for me, I would have it. I'd have it redone. Great little handle here. That's nice, and the usual stuff. But right in here, it was the thing I had to fix. When I returned this, I noticed that the platen did not move. I could not move the lines up and down. I could do it by hand, but I could not do it with the return lever. And that's because a linkage had broken in here, and consequently I had to get a new one. It was just not something I could repair. I would have to make one, and I had no idea how to do that. But the linkage was broken. So I got a donor one, pulled that off, put it all back together, and it works pretty good. It works pretty good. It has the usual suspects that typewriters have. Got our paper guide here, which is a little styling. The previous version of this, Model 7, this is huge, and this, sometimes called an erasure table or a paper table, is much larger. See a scale on the top? This tilts back, and that's where our margin sets are. And you can see, if I get in close here, you can see a metal clip, black at the top, and that's the tab. Now this used manual tabs, and by that I mean you had to set your own tabs. I'll show you here. By pulling these pins out and putting them in. They're little C-shaped things, and they just fit over wherever you want them. And normally you'd have about 5 of them. This typewriter only had the one. And the more I learned about this typewriter, I'm not surprised. The back is good, and the knobs are good. So all around, pretty good typewriter. I like it. I love its looks. It's a good typer. And we can reverse the ribbons there. And put our ribbon on the top. Now they did some versions of these that didn't have the chrome. Believe it or not, the later ones are the ones that did not have the chrome. It's called a 41 series or 41 model. That'd be from 1941, so a little bit later. Now one of the things I really want us to look at is some of the ingenious engineering. As we zoom in here a little bit, and you look at the type basket, it doesn't look like most type baskets. First of all, it's not cupped underneath. The type faces are at an angle. They don't face straight on. And so when you push them, they kind of present just the part that's going to hit, but it doesn't look like it's going to do that. It looks like they're off-centered, but it's not. So rather amazing kind of thing. It is a platen shift, carriage shift, as opposed to a basket shift. And this distance from here over to here is smaller than you would expect, about an inch smaller than most other typewriters. I found that very interesting. But here's where the real deal is. This is called a noiseless. Technically, there's no such thing as a noiseless typewriter. There's always going to be some noise. But this thing whispers. And the way they did it was, the way the action is on the key. And this is kind of interesting. This fooled me at first. You push the key down, it just stops. You say, okay, now this is broken. It's not going all the way. And you see it's sort of a triangular piece. You have something at the back. It's got a couple of linkages there. It's got much more action than you would in a regular type bar. But if you push it all the way, it snaps up to the front. Now watch it closely, how it hits the platen with that. It's very interesting. So instead of the type bar coming up and smacking the platen, hitting the ribbon into the paper, leaving the mark, it goes part way up that fast, and then it just reaches up and touches it, just kisses it, as some people have described it. And when you listen to me type on it a little bit later, you'll notice that it's kind of a whisper sound. And so it's amazing. It is quite a bit quieter. And typewriters have always been noisy things, especially if you're working in some place where there's 200 other people that have typewriters, just deafening. But these are quieter, which people using them at home or in regular offices would very much appreciate. Now let me tell you the story behind this. My son is a writer like I am. He's got several novels under his belt. He went off to Los Angeles, got himself a Master's of Fine Arts and MFA in creative writing. Good for him. Very proud of him for that. It's something he's done and never let me forget that I don't have one of those, which is fine. I have other degrees and other things, but nonetheless, very good. And one of his favorite authors coming out of that study is Flannery O'Connor. Wrote several books, but she died young. She had an illness that took her life, kept her on crutches for quite a while, and then ultimately took her life early. She used two typewriters that we know of. One of them was this model, very close to this model. She actually had the 1941, so it doesn't have the chrome right there. It's got a rather more mundane, less flashy little handle, little pull at the top there. But she wrote some wonderful stuff. She's considered one of the best writers to come out of the country. And so she used this, especially in her latter days. She had her bed put down near where she worked because it was easier for her to get around and to get to. Then she had another typewriter that she used, which is a Royal Model P. And so I thought for my son I would get him a typewriter similar to what Flannery O'Connor used as a gift. If I recall, I think I was getting it for him because he had another book come out. And so it was just sort of a congratulations gift for him. And I was looking all over for these things. And I came across one about 60 miles from my home, something like that, 75 miles from my home. And I got so excited that I rushed to buy it. And I thought, this is going to be cool. He's going to love this. And now you're saying to yourself, but wait a minute, Al, it's still with you. It's not with him. And for those of you who don't know, he lives in Southern California. I'm in Central California now. And you would be right. And the reason for that is this one had problems. It needed fixing. And to get it to him on time, I gave him instead the other typewriter style that Flannery O'Connor used, the Model P. And he's been happy with that. More of a show and tell kind of piece. Now, that's one of the problems when you buy typewriters. Sometimes you fall in love with it. It's like buying a car before you really check things out. And I normally have things that I do when I go to buy a typewriter. I rub my hands on it. Are the knobs all there? Do they oil the surface to make it look shinier than it really is? I take a look at the platen and see how marred up it is. I don't think I even looked at that on this one. I just wanted to get this for him. So excited about it. Because the outside looked pretty good. And here's what I found. I got it home and started to look at it, getting ready to clean it up. And I've already mentioned this, but in here is a linkage that when you pull this, it will advance the platen. You know, one line, line and a half, 2 lines. I think this is 1, 2, and 3 line spacing to put that leading in. Leading is space between sentences, between lines, because they used to use, in setting up print, they used to use strips of lead. So it's called leading. Distance between letters is called kerning. More than you want to know, but you could be on Jeopardy someday, so you might need to know those things. Well, I saw that and I thought, well, I'm going to have to fix that. But one of the first things I did, which I didn't do at the antique store, is I normally run a piece of paper down the back and see if I can advance it through. And how it goes through will tell me a little bit about the rollers beneath. And I didn't do that. So I got it home and I tried to run some paper through it, and here's what I found. Somebody had taken a popsicle stick and shoved it down in the back. I mean, it was wedged down there enough that it had broken lengthwise through the popsicle stick. And I had to get out some tools, reach way down there, and do a popsicle stickectomy on this thing before I could get a piece of paper to go through it. So sometimes what happens is we fall in love with the idea, and we fall in love with sort of a love at first sight kind of thing, which I did with this. I'm still glad I bought it. I have no regrets about it. I'm just a little sad that I let that get by me without first checking it, because one of the things you always want to do is you want to move this to see if the plate moves, if the carriage is moving. I always hit the space bar and see if it advances. If it doesn't right away, one of the things you want to check is to see if the margins are pushed together in the middle so it can't move, or if it has, as this one does, a lock. Let me get over here so you can see that. Down here, this locks the carriage into place. Right here you see a little notch in there, and it'll lock the carriage in place when the carriage is centered, and it's great for when you're transporting things with that. Well, there it is. It's a 1938, very respectable Remington Noiseless, Deluxe Noiseless. It's not really noiseless, but it's close to noiseless typewriter. A lot to commend it, but also a great reminder to me to slow down, check a couple things before you pull out the debit card. Now, again, all of these things I've been able to fix, and a few more things to work on. In the end, it's going to be a sweet little typer. 1938 Remington Deluxe Noiseless for our Typewriter Tuesday. Love having you guys join me for this. Be sure, if you like it, to hit the thumbs up. That's nice. Subscribe. That way you know when I put up the Typewriter Tuesday and anything else related to the typewriters, you'll get notification of that, or anything else I do video-wise. So once again, thank you so much. This is Alton Gansky. For a true writer, each book should be a new beginning, where he tries again for something that is beyond attainment. He should always try for something that has never been done, or that others have tried and failed. And sometimes, with great luck, he will succeed. Ernest Hemingway.